What's up, everybody? James Bushell here, and I'm back at you with another video. I am here today with three guests as we do our review for the winter, which we all believe was a great episode. So I'm going to introduce my panelists first. We're going to start with ladies first, and the first time she's been on my channel. It's an honor that she's on my channel for the first time. It is, of course, T Baby.
Hey everyone, it's T, and I'm glad that James invited me on to this channel. I love this episode. I really didn't have too many bad things to say about it, so I'm excited what you guys have to say as well as people in the chats.
And then we have the guy who's been helping me with my review the last couple weeks, Mr. Mo G.
What's good, everybody? It's Moji, King of the North. Glad to be here. Always about to kill this review finale episode. What's up, everyone?
And then, of course, we got my good friend, Sir LT Giles, fellow Hypes Watcher. Let's go.
What's up, everybody? Sir LT Giles here. You know, I ain't got many bad things to say about this episode, and if I do, all the good outweigh the bad. But if it comes to my head, I'll point it out, but I can't think of anything so far.
Yeah, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to break it down region by region, and we're going to start with what I believe were the least important regions first and make our way to the end. So, yeah, we're not going in sequential order, because obviously King's Landing was first, but I believe that was some of the most important stuff in the episode. So we are going to start with the two Meereen scenes. You know, the first scene, my hopes were dashed. I went all year saying that Daario was the Harpy, and you know what? I went down with the ship. I'm a man of my word. I don't back off with one of my theories. I stick it. You know, stick through it to the end. And of course, he wasn't the Harpy, but he was friend zoned. So that was interesting. Essentially, Dany realizes that she can't bring a mistress, that's all he is, he's a mistress, to Westeros and be taken seriously. She's going to have to marry someone of noble birth in Westeros that can, you know, help strengthen her claim and make everyone feel better in Westeros. So Daario had to stay. Then we get a scene between Dany and Tyrion, a rather touching scene. I personally think that Tyrion might be catching some feelings a little bit because he said he wasn't the first man to love you and he won't be the last. And he had this lingering look on his face. And the camera lingered on him for like 5 seconds. So I think he might be catching some feelings. But then, of course, you know, they have a touching scene and Dany anoints him, gives him a silver hand pinion, and names him Hand of the Queen. So we will start with T first on this. What did you think about those two scenes in Meereen?
I thought that Scooby was the Harpy too, so you're not the only one who thought that. And I was a little disappointed the fact that they didn't really wrap up the Harpies, but Scooby just got bitched. Like, he is a mistress or whatever you want to call him. Dany just kind of told him, like, you know, I can't take you with me. He's kind of begging and groveling. It just, I'm glad that we're kind of over this character. But something, I just rewatched it not too long ago, and if you think about how Scooby has acted in the past, he doesn't listen to Dany, so I'm not sure if he's going to follow through on everything that she asked for. He brought up taking Casterly Rock, so I'm not sure if he might just go over there without her because he's done that before. He gathered the ships. She didn't ask for that. So I'm interested to see if they're just going to kill that storyline and just leave him in Meereen, or are they going to pursue it in a different way so that she has more things that, more obstacles, I'll say, when she goes to Westeros. Because if she doesn't have certain obstacles, it's going to be like just her just swarming in, taking over, and then that's the end of that. So I'm more curious as to what they're going to do next season.
Sir LT Giles.
Yeah, you guys almost had me with this harpy business. I almost was convinced, but I never fully thought he was the harpy. I thought in the scene that he was gonna lose it for a minute when he points out, is it because of him? I think he said Tyrion. I can't remember, but he's like, pointing out, is it because of Tyrion? And I thought for a minute he was gonna lose it, but he didn't, and that surprised me. And like I said before, he got pushed aside, and he's gonna. I don't know what he's gonna do. He could do like T said and go to Cassidy Rock, or he could just hold it down in Meereen. I advise him. I'd advise him to hold it down in Meereen, because if you do it, what she doesn't do what she says, she might burn you, because it proves she doesn't feel nothing for him. I mean, she said she didn't feel nothing when she dismissed him, so she could take him out, no problem. So you might as well stay in Meereen. And yeah, the Tyrion scene and Dany scene was really touching. Like I said before, Tyrion was a boss in season 2 as a hand, so I think Daenerys made a great decision there. And it's just great to get out of Meereen. I'm done with Meereen, and I'm glad we're not going to be there next season.
Moji.
Yeah, I told y'all Tyrion and Dany had a possibility. I saw romance in the air. I saw the Valentine's Day crush. I saw it. Man, people thought I was crazy. I can see it in the future. I don't know if they're gonna be a booty call type, if they're gonna be lovers type, but I see it in the cards. Tyrion got the Google eyes every time they was in the room, and y'all thought I was tripping. That was so obvious when they was together, man. Damn! But before I get to Tyrion and Dany, let's backtrack. The Alliance in Meereen, the Greyjoys, Yara. I loved all of this. The Greyjoy fleet tagged up with them. I can't wait to see what Euron does. And I'm going to say it again. Euron's getting Heartsbane, ladies and gentlemen. He's scooping up the famous Tarly sword. We don't know how, but I'll talk about that another time. When it comes to Dany, Dario, we knew that relationship wasn't going to last long. That was just, a high school crush. She can't go to the Seven Kingdoms with a puppy following her along, Scooby, as T says. So that's what it is.
Well, I got I'm beating some sort of prediction video. I got a couple predictions I wanted to make for next season, and this is one of them right here. Okay, so Dany told Dario that he has to stay back with the Second Sons. Now, my prediction, one of my predictions I've already been talking about is that I believe that now that Euron knows that Yasha and or Yara and Theon are with Dany, that I believe he is going to side with Cersei. I think there's going to be some sort of coalition there. Now, how about this one? So there's 3 sides of this coin. We need someone, that has a vendetta against Dany. Well, what if Cersei goes over to Meereen and hires, maybe not Cersei herself, but Cersei, sends to go back over to Meereen and hires the Second Sons to fight against Dany. That would be an interesting way to bring Dario back into the plot, and a way where he could, try and, well, I know Cersei, T in the chat says Cersei has no money, but hey, she can make promises. She can make promises, maybe one she can't keep, even though we know that Atlantis always pays their debts, but, she's gone mad, so, and maybe sell Dario on vengeance, or not vengeance, but, on something, promising them land or something. She can always, it doesn't have to necessarily be money. Also, there'd be the revenge angle against Dany, even though it's not really revenge. It's like he's just pissed off pestilent little kid. I don't know. It's just a thought. I think that would be interesting. But yeah, what do you guys think? I'm crazy, or you think there's any semblance of that being possible?
No, I definitely can see Cersei and Euron teaming up together, because Cersei doesn't have that many allies she can actually go to. And then when you think about the phrase in the Lannisters, kind of a rift there, just because of what Jaime said. But I still think she could probably still have some of them, but I don't see the phrase holding on to the Riverlands that long. So the one person that's actually kind of sticking out to me is Littlefinger. And I know that he declared for the North and everything, but something tells me that Cersei's going to be so desperate that she needs as many men as she can get, that she's going to kind of overlook it. So now I'm kind of thinking that somehow Littlefinger is going to be in this plan with Cersei. I just don't see Cersei smart enough to actually come up with a plan like that. I think that she'll be dumb enough though to link up with Euron and Littlefinger, even though Littlefinger betrayed her. But yeah, I'm definitely down with that theory, to be honest. But the Lannisters don't have any money. I think it was in season 4, and so I think that's going to be Cersei's biggest mistake. She made this interesting move where she blew up everyone, kind of like what Tyrion did in Blackwater. And if you remember with not Tywin but Stannis, he was like, all right, the dwarf's done his first trick. That's all he has. But he also had the war tactics to actually fight them all, and then they also had the manpower. Well, Cersei doesn't have that, so she did her one trick, and now it's like everything's backfired because now you have Dany and you have Dorne and you have the Tyrells, and you even have I have to say the North against her just because of Sansa. So you have all of these people against you. I don't see her making the smarted out of the situation. So who knows?
Well, I firmly believe that Littlefinger himself has been hoarding cash throughout his whole existence as Master of Coin. I firmly believe he's got secret Swiss bank accounts with his own coffers being filled, and if he could hire the Second Sons. You know, I just don't believe that I want Dar to be done in the story, but I just think it'd be interesting if he got in the fray on Cersei's side against Dany after this breakup. Anything else? Anyone else have anything to say on Meereen, or shall we go on to the next scene?
Yeah, Dario could definitely be one of the betrayals, you know, for that. And like, I hope if she gets Euron to be on her side, she better hurry the hell up and speed up the pace because they're on their way. But if you think about it logically, how many ships did Daenerys have? Like, she got like a few hundred or something like that. So, counting the Tyrells, counting the Martells, that's probably not even close to 1,000. So if she does get Euron on her side, Euron could at least smash her fleet, but the dragons, that's another story. So if she gets Euron on her side, she has a shot.
Anything?
Yeah, when it comes to T's point on Littlefinger, if you guys remember, beginning of last season, Cersei promised to make Littlefinger Warden of the North by royal decree if he were to bring Sansa's head to her. I don't know what's going on with that royal decree, but that's still on the table. Littlefinger already backstabbed Cersei with that. He backstabbed the Boltons. He doesn't have to worry about that. But he wants to be more than just Lord Paramount of the Vale and Lord of Harrenhal, etc., etc. Now, when it comes to Dario, that betrayal is happening, ladies and gentlemen. That's 110%. What I see happening is possibly the Golden Company introduced into the show. Another sellsword company being introduced, possibly with the Quentin story, possibly the Fagon story, but I can see the Golden Company for sure. Dario's the type of dude that is jealous. He'll sail into Blackwater Bay, tell Cersei, I have all the secrets on the table that Dany has. I can tell you what you need to do. And possibly even when Euron sails into Meereen, he's going to need an ally. He's going to need somebody to give him Dany's weaknesses, and what better person than a scorned lover, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to have Dragonbinder. He's going to have the will of the beast in his hand with that horn. So why not Dario and possibly the Golden Company?
Right on, right on. We will now discuss the one scene in Dorne and the end sequence. So yeah, Dorne. You know, it actually wasn't terrible in this episode. It was actually, you know, pretty humorous. Olenna Tyrell had some great banter. She's always, you know, for the most part, she's been money her whole time on the series. And then, of course, at the end, we have Varys coming in and, you know, saying, you know, you can have your vengeance by fire and blood. Of course, insinuating that they are going to form a coalition with Dany. So now my main takeaway from this, I said it before, you know, I felt like they didn't need to kill Doran Martell and Arya Hota. I know that they cut budget and stuff, but I felt like you could have just instead executed Ellaria Sand and all the Sand Snakes, and then you could have Doran, you know, deliver the epic stand-up, you know, through fire and bloodline. That That's just what I personally believe. Also, you don't have the fallacy set all season where we're supposed to believe that all the noble houses of Dorne are okay with following a group of bastards who killed their previous prince. So it is my personal opinion. I don't think they should. You could have cut you could have cut 4 characters out of the show as opposed to 2, saving more money. But yeah, aside from that, it was a good scene. And then of course after that, I put this on Dorne because I believe if you look through the fleet, I think I mean, we see Varys on the ship, so we know that either Varys went back to Meereen and this is them sailing back, but I think if you look in the fleet, you can see Tyrell banners and you can see Martell banners. So it was my opinion that they were already landed in Dorne and maybe now they're heading to King's Landing. Which I feel like they should have shown Dany actually landing in Dorne, because like if that's truly the case, because I feel like it's a monumental occasion, the fact that Dany has set foot on Westeros, I feel like that should have been a point to be shown if that was truly the case that they were in Dorne, or if I'm just tripping and they haven't actually reached Dorne yet, and it was actually Varys just got back to Meereen. But what do you guys think from all the stuff that happened in Dorne plus Meereen, or plus the ending scene? LT.
Yeah, the scene was just a funny scene, and it was kind of annoying. I agree with what you said about they did have to kill Duran, and it's just Dorne was horrible this season, and it's still horrible. And I don't even really care that Dorne is teamed up with Daenerys. I mean, yeah, it's cool she has those troops, but to tell you the truth, I would love for the Martells to be a casualty of, like I said, if Euron were to come with Daenerys and have his fleet, I wouldn't mind if that part of the fleet gets smashed, or the Tyrells, because forget the Tyrells. Yeah, it was an alright scene, and I totally agree with you about Duran, and the ending scene was definitely epic. Hopefully they land on Dragonstone.
Mo.
What is the exact part of the scene we're talking about?
Well, just everything that happened in Dorne, and then the last sequence. The stuff with Dany on the ships.
Well, I really thought that Varys was gonna do what he did in the book and handle Kevin Lannister and seeing him in Dorne was cool. That was real surprising. I love the whole deal. Him and Lady Olenna got backstory. They got talk. Back when Joffrey was getting married, her and the spider, they had a walk in the garden. They were scheming. This is when Varys told Lady Olenna that Littlefinger is the king of the ashes, and he would love to see whatever she said her saying was on him being Varys telling her he could be the king of the ashes if he could see Westeros burn. He knows what Littlefinger's all about. So basically, if Varys is there with Olenna, they got rapport. I can see them having a major alliance. I can see them starving King's. Lady Olenna is cutting all the food to King's Landing. You're going to see probably more than you did in the last 2 seasons combined. You're going to see the poor people of King's Landing getting ready to swallow up Cersei's ass next season. And it'll be courtesy of Lady Olenna. Lady Olenna will serve regards, ladies and gentlemen. So let this be the stepping stone that Daenerys uses when she walks in. The way Marjorie pleaded to the people, helped the people at King's Landing, gave them food. When not, Dany will be the real savior when the poor and hungry are at the steps of
T?
Yeah, my bad. I was actually trying to look at the scene Mo was talking about. I think that I like this scene. I like the fact that she shut them down. She kind of went on them, said that, what you call it, a borrow or something like that, and said, you look like an angry little boy, which she does. And I like that she shut down the other one who tried to. I don't care for the Sand Snake, so I like the fact that she was just like, just show your face and then let's just keep it moving. So, am I lagging?
No, you're not lagging. It was either
Okay.
me or Mo. One of us is lagging.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this scene was short and sweet. I don't think that Dany landed on Dorne just because she has so many people from Meereen that she would need all the ships. I don't see how she could have all of them go to Dorne and then come back. It wouldn't make sense to me. So I think that they went to Dany, got everyone, and then that's why you see this epic, voyage for them to come to Westeros. I don't think that they're going straight to King's Landing. I'm going to agree with LT. I think they're going to Dragonstone. Something tells me that they're not just going to go straight for the heart, that they have to still rally some more houses to her cause. So I'm thinking that she's either going to Dragonstone, maybe Dorne, or somewhere on the coast of Westeros. But I just don't see her going straight for King's Landing. Not yet, but that's her main goal. If you think back to, I want to say either season 2 or season 3, Tyrion's been studying different. It's season 2. Tyrion's studying different ways to sieges throughout Westeros. So it depends on what I think. Okay, I think it just depends on what Tyrion wants and what he thinks is the best way to go about it. But I don't think they're going straight for King's Landing.
Oh, I do agree with you in the sense that I believe that if she truly indeed landed in Dorne, they would have made a bigger deal about it. They would have shown Dany get on Westeros for the first time in her, since she was a baby. I think they would have just made a bigger deal about it. So I do agree that they probably met up somewhere. Mo.
Just on T's point here, back in the days of Varys being master of whispers, he always gave Tywin good counsel. He always told Tywin about Dany. He always told, if y'all remember that time where Oberyn, Martell, and Tywin were at the small council meeting, and Varys is explaining to them she's got 3 dragons. She's got 2 seasoned warriors, which was Sir Barristan Selmy, God rest his soul, and Jorah Mormont. You know what I mean? Varys was breaking down what Dany had, and Cersei's dumbass was like, dragons, tiny dragons, and Varys was like getting bigger every year. This is how dumb Cersei is. She underestimates everything that's put in front of her. Tywin didn't underestimate it, but he didn't give it respect either. Dragons are dragons, and she's Aegon come calling again. She is Aegon the Conqueror made into flesh all over again. Drogon's Balerion the Black Dread. She could win right now. The only way I see D&D not going for the throat and not going for the dagger in the heart is by forcing filler. She could win right now. The first episode, she could walk into Blackwater Bay and the throne is hers. But D&D aren't going to want to make it that quick. I can see them making her go to Dragonstone only for some fan service of Dragonstone. Let's get some let's get some obsidian for the White Walkers, because obviously she's going to meet up with Sam at some point. Sam's going to give her the knowledge on the White Walkers, but that's for another time. But yeah, I just want to interject to say that she could win right now.
Yeah, I think that they'll have her doing something else. Getting an echo, Mo. It's all good. Yeah, I think they're going to have her do something else because, yeah, she could go into King's Landing right now and wreck shop, but I believe, I'm predicting that is going to see it next season. Euron's going to raid it. He's going to take it. Euron's going to join Cersei, and that's going to be the check against Dany for the time being, because otherwise she's just going to rickroll everybody, and it's all going to be over. And, yeah. So does anyone else have anything to say about Dorne? Or shall we move on to the next section? All right, we will do that then. And it is Oldtown. So yeah, we didn't get much at Oldtown at all, and really, this is one of those scenes that, in theory, I shouldn't like because I'm not a real big fan of filler. But you know what? The majesty of seeing Oldtown, it looked more epic than Horn Hill, which at that point was the most epic looking scene that we've seen, and it just looked great. The sweeping shot coming in, seeing Sam Gilly right into Oldtown, and then of course when they actually get into the library, one thing they do bring up the headmaester, that he is there, and we just get this shot when he actually goes into the actual library, and you have kind of this sweeping camera work where it kind of swoops down and then goes up, and then you see the majesty of everything. in full detail with the epic music, which we'll talk about later in King's Landing. Ramin Djawadi's music in this episode like added 2 points to my score alone. And like to me, this was like one of the most episodes where the music was the most profound and added so much to the episode. So yeah, we'll start with Mo here on what he thought about Oldtown.
It was absolutely perfect. It was better than perfect. The cinematography, oh my God. And seeing the white ravens rolling out of the citadel, woo, wasn't that sweet, ladies and gentlemen? Wasn't that so sweet? You're just like looking at the white ravens. I don't know if the audience knew what the hell that was, but book readers looking at that, you could just imagine the network of ravens all being sent out to every lord and house. And letting the folks know winter has come. Father always said, didn't he? Father always said. And that was one of my favorite parts of the scene, other than the music. Sam having your nerdgasm on the books, that was dope. That lets you know he's getting knowledge. He's going to have more knowledge on the White Walkers. There's going to be 100 books in there written by the old maesters and seps of old lore, you know what I mean, telling you what the White Walkers were, what the Cold Knight was, who Azor Ahai was. I can see Sam breaking down all that knowledge to Dany, letting her know she's Azor Ahai, or you know, whoever you want to believe it is, and all my theories on that subject. The Citadel, I didn't think they would capture it right the way I imagined it from the books, but boy, they got it right. They got it so right. And I don't know if y'all noticed that black stone up in the middle. There was a black stone up in the Citadel, reminded me of in the book, but we can talk about that another.
All right, T, what did you think of Oldtown scene?
I really did enjoy it. I love the way that they shot it. With you and Mo on the music. The music really just brought everything together. But it reminded me of the Library of Congress. I'm not sure if you guys ever been to Library of Congress, and if you haven't, you should go one day. Where it's just this huge library full of books, and you sit down and you give the receptionist, you know, the books that you want, and they bring it to you by the table numbers, but at the grand scale of all the books. And then you know how Sam always wants to be a wizard, and he wanted to, well, he didn't want to be a maester, but he wanted to be a wizard, and he's so fascinated with books. I felt bad for oh my God, I can't think of the girl's name now, the wildling that he's with, Gilly. There it is. I felt bad for her because they kind of showed that she was into books as well, and that she was also excited, and to just be denied again just because she's a woman. So it seems like everywhere she goes in Westeros she's denied something, almost basic rights in a way, because of her sex. So that's all I really got out of that scene. It was beautiful, but I mean, we didn't get too much because all he did was just arrive. I don't think Sam's going to stay there long, and I'm curious if they're going to or not. So that's what I'm looking forward to, is who is Sam going to meet and how are they going to break that down. Is Gilly going to try to get to Citadel? I don't know, but I'm curious to see how they're going to take it.
LT, what did you think about Oldtown, buddy?
You know, T, I've been to the Library of Congress, but on Fallout 3. No, I really... No, you know, I remember in the beginning of this video, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I said there's not too many things that I have to complain, but just going back to A Feast for Crows when I first got done with A Feast for Crows. At the end of Feast for Crows, when Jaime's reading the letter from Cersei, snow is dropping on Riverrun. And I asked my buddy who read the books before me, has winter came yet? And he's like, no, that winter has not come. But in Oldtown, there's no snow. And winter supposedly has come. That's something that I have to nitpick with. In King's Landing, there's no snow. And I remember at the end of the prologue in Dance of Dragons, there's snow falling in King's Landing. So they kind of dropped the ball there. But, I mean, that's just nitpicking. This scene was awesome. The high tower was amazing. The little, like, I don't know what that was. Moji mentioned the black stone on the top, but the stuff coming off of it, Yeah, that was awesome. And the library, what could you say? The library was awesome. But where's the freaking snow?
It was that black stone that they made the sea stone chair out of. That joint looked like some dragon stony ish right there.
Yeah, Oldtown was cool, but we must move on to the Riverlands. Very interesting scenes in the Riverlands. First, we see Jaime and Bronn at the wedding of Walder Frey. They are having a nice little comedic repartee, and interesting enough, we see the servant girl give them a long, lingering look. The second I saw the servant girl, I knew who she was. But yeah, it was, of course, as revealed later, that it is Arya Stark. We also get a scene between Jaime and Walder Frey where they both discuss being Kingslayers, and Walder Frey's kind of joking about it in a joking manner. And of course, Jaime doesn't take it as a joke because he views Walder's disloyalty as worse, because in Jaime's mind, his action was noble, or was not noble, but was honorable, because he was doing it to save people's lives, where Walder Frey's was doing it out of a place of greed. And then he got up and gave him a proverbial bitch slap to the face, and yeah, that was it for Jaime and the Riverlands. Them and the Lannisters bounced up out of there. And then, of course, we get the next scene where the servant girl we saw earlier is serving Walder Frey a piece of pie, and Walder Frey is asking, where's Black Walder? Where's Lothar? And of course, she says, they're here, my lord. And yeah, they were there. They were inside the pie. And yeah, he saw a thumb, I believe. That's what it was, a fucked up thumb in the pie. And yeah, then of course, she reveals that she's Arya Stark and slashes him in the throat. And that was the end of Walder Frey. So, what do you guys think about this scene? We'll start with T-Baby.
I love this scene. I thought that Walder Frey, he just seemed like he was so out of it, like a senior citizen who didn't know what was going on. He seemed like confused after the talk with Jaime. Then he seemed confused with Arya when she's like, they're here, my lord. And he's like, what? He just seemed like he had a senior moment. As far as the Jaime and Frey scene, I think that Walder Frey kind of had pride in killing and backstabbing the king, where Jaime didn't take he didn't feel no pride, and he didn't have no honor when he did that. He did when he had stabbed the king, he did what he felt that he needed to do. And that's something that's always been bothering Jaime, was that this really messed with his honor as a knight, not as a person, but as a knight, because he takes it very seriously. And then you're thinking I'm pretty sure he's also thinking of the conversation he had with Brienne, where she's kind of calling him out, saying, you're digressing a little bit. So when you have this conversation between them two, you have one who takes pride in what he did and one who kind of feels ashamed of what he did. And I think that really eats at Jaime when he gets back to King's Landing and sees that the one thing that kind of messed him up this whole time throughout this series is something his sister just did like it was nothing. As far as Arya, I feel like she was baiting Jaime. She was flirting with him across this room with her eyes, and she was trying to lure him in. I think she just got, I really think she got a boner thinking about killing Jaime, because the way she was just looking at him, I just felt like it almost had like lust in her eyes. So, and as far as the scene when Arya kills Walder Frey, it was shot really well, and Arya is really crazy. One thing that I think is going to be interesting moving forward is if she does link back up with Arya and Sansa, how are they going to accept her the way that she is? Because Arya wasn't like this evil person. I don't think she's evil, but she doesn't have a sense of not honor, but balance to what you should do and what you shouldn't do when it comes to killing people. She's finding too much joy in it, where Jon, when he kills someone, it's just something that needs to be done, but he tries to go about it. He tries to resolve the situation before.
Can you guys hear me?
Somebody keeps going in and out.
I think there was a little bit of a lag there. I'm not sure. But yeah, I hear what you were saying, T. I think we heard most of it. I think maybe maybe like a little 10 seconds at the end, you kind of, we didn't hear what you said, but we will go to LT Giles here. What did you think about the scene at the Twins?
Yeah, I agree with Tia 100%. Like, I don't think Arya anticipated Jamie to be there. If you see when she's walking away, she's like, "Oh, I got the golden goose," and she's like, "Oh, 2 golden gooses." She wanted Jamie bad. She wanted him so bad, but obviously she didn't get him. Just to go back to what they're talking about, the Kingslayer thing. I think about this often. I'm like, I wonder if Aerys wouldn't have told Jamie, "Bring me your father's head," would Jamie have defended him to the end? And then what were Tywin's instructions? Because Tywin, was sacking the city. Obviously, if it would have been like some kind of dilemma, because if he wouldn't have told him that, and Jamie would have defended him, Jamie could have possibly killed Sir Army Lorch or the Mountain. Because Jamie was a great sword. I know that's another discussion, but I always think that in my head. Would have Jamie fought to the end if he wouldn't have said that? Okay. Yeah, I thought for a minute too when the girls came and Jamie introduced them. I thought that was going to be Bronn's escape, kind of like the Blackfish's escape. Because he got out of there conveniently, and I thought there was going to be a Red Wedding 2.0. But anyways, I enjoy it. Call me a sick bastard, but I enjoy Arya killing and enjoying it, and I thought that was awesome. Walder Frey deserved that. He killed my favorite character ever, and it was just glorious, and I love it. Reminded me of Sonny from A Bronx Tale, kind of when he was telling the bikers, "Look at me, I did this to you," and she was like, "I'm Arya Stark, I want you to know that," and it was glorious, and I enjoyed it so much.
Right on, right on. Moji.
Yeah, I guess Arya didn't learn anything from her time with Tywin at Harrenhal. She called Walder my lord. My lord, they're right here, my lord. Low-born girls say me lord, me lord. She didn't learn a damn thing. And then, when we're talking about Jamie and Kingslaying, I always wondered myself, LT, Barristan Selmy would have followed through and brought him Tywin's head if it was Barristan's father. Boros Blunt, Aerys Oakhart, Loras Tyrell, all those Knights Guard, Kingsguard, Meereen Trant, all of them, I believe they would have followed every command that Sir Aerys said and brought him his head and allowed him to set wildfire throughout the city. All those Kingsguard would have done it. Jamie didn't, though, and he killed him and he became Kingslayer. So does that mean that Jamie has no honor? Does he have honor like Barristan Selmy? Did Barristan Selmy, did Aerys Oakhart, did Boros Blunt, would they have been called honorable Kingsguard men if they would have allowed King Aerys to burn down King's Landing and for them to bring their own father's head to the Mad King? Would that have been considered honorable? I don't know. But Jamie did what he thought was right, and I believe that there's honor in that, in doing what you think is right. So, this whole scene, first off, I knew it was Arya from the garb she was wearing, the clothing she was wearing. It was immediately obvious. She was not wearing Westerosi serving girl, wench girl clothes. She was wearing something from Bravos or Pentos or Mir. In my opinion, she was wearing something exotic. Number two, she was looking at Jamie, in my opinion, because she didn't know if that was the Kingslayer or not. You think that's obvious now, but he's cut his hair from when she last saw him, and he's lost an arm from when she last saw him. She's only last seen him at Winterfell when she was a girl. There's been a lot of time that's passed since then. In my opinion, she was studying him and calling on the details of what she's known from other people telling her what the Kingslayer looks like. I don't even know if she's been told that his arm has been cut. So immediately, if she didn't know that, she wouldn't even think that's Jamie. The only way she would assume it is by Bronn or other Lannister men calling him your lord or Jamie, Sir Jamie. Number two, the way she cooked up Black Walder and all that was sweet. Obviously now we know she's learned something. She's learned how to fucking cook somebody the hell up and put them in a pie. That's what the hell she learned in Bravos. And just to see Walder Frey's life force, the Rat King's life force dripping out of him was such fan service. but it was good fan service. It wasn't Manderley cooking the pies. It was Arya cooking the pies, but it was good fan service. This is the type of fan service I like. So everything about River Run was a payoff times 100, and it was done correct. That's it, James.
Yeah, I mean, it pretty much has been said. It was a great scene. We got our retribution. Walder Frey is dead. Now, one thing that interested me was a little bit of a nitpick. It's like we're supposed to believe Walder Frey with his 100 kids and bastards and everyone over there always wanting to serve him, that he'd be sitting alone in his hall. And it was pretty convenient for Arya in that case, but it's just a little bit of a minor nitpick. It's still, in the end, like I said, seeing him die didn't matter. So we will move on from the Riverlands. We all loved it.
And there should be snow.
There should be snow, but yeah. Okay, so we're done with the Riverlands. Now we are going up north. So the first scene we see up north, of course, is with Jon and Mel talking. They're just having a random discussion, and of course, we see Davos roll up in the shot, and he's holding the burnt stag, and he tosses it over to Mel, and he says, "Tell her what you did. Tell him what you did," and she did, with trepidation, but she did, and once again, they came up with, they had to bring up Stannis, but like I said, I've been saying all week, in this regard, it makes sense to bring up what Stannis did because it's relevant to what's happening in the scene. All the other times it wasn't. This time it is, so I'm okay with it. Of course, the acting of Liam Cunningham who plays Davos was excellent, and when he said she was kind, she was good, and you killed her, it reminded me of when Oberyn Martell was saying, you raped her, you killed her, or you raped her, you murdered her, and you killed her children. It was kind of similar to that for me. Had that same kind of weight to it. And then, of course, Jon essentially banishes her and says to go south, which, of course, I think a lot of us think that she's going to go north to the Wall and then get Night Queened up. I think a lot of us believe that, or some of us believe that anyway. But yeah, after that, we get the scene between Jon and Sansa. Of course, the whole Sansa thing was a whole point of contention for the past couple weeks. It's buried, though. It's over. They are good. Sansa's not trying. She didn't try to sacrifice. I heard someone say that she tried sacrificing Jon on purpose. Yeah, that wasn't the case. They're good. It's over. They reconciled. Sansa says, you're a Stark to me, and yeah. So that scene was cool. And then we get the scene with Sansa and Littlefinger. Of course, we have Littlefinger being pedo-finger, like he's always been. And he's being extra creepy in this scene, making a bunch of overtures. And then he's trying to plant the seeds of doubt to Sansa, saying, essentially that we should be rallying around the Queen of the North as opposed to a bastard. So we can see that. Well, it's interesting to see because I think you could view it like the King of the North scene, that Sansa was it could have gone both ways. Like, she was looking at Littlefinger like, yeah, you're right, or she was like Littlefinger like, yo, I'm with my bro. So yeah, after that scene with Littlefinger and Sansa, we have King of the North. And I personally had a little bit of issues with this scene, but of course we have Lyanna Mormont sticking up for the cowards and punks pretty much, and her speech ends up stirring up the Glovers, the Manderleys, and who else was there in there? There was a third. Glovers, Manderleys. Who was the third?
Serwins.
It was Corwin, the new Lord Corwin.
Yeah, they all plead for the King of the North. For Jon Snow, and then of course, like I said, you had the look between Littlefinger and Sansa. So we are going to start with LT Giles on everything that happened in the North. LT, give your take on everything. Everything. Go for it.
All right. Well, one thing that I thought was funny is, the scene was not funny, but okay. So, I thought that it was very heartbreaking, the Davos scene and Melisandre, but as I said before, I feel for her because she felt like she was doing right. And it's funny because I noticed how Davos is like, should leave to, to execute her, and it's like he's not king yet, but he basically, is talking to him like he's king. But anyway, so after that scene, I think you forgot to mention the scene between Sansa and Jon when they're up on the battlements of Winterfell. But anyways,
I did.
I noticed. Oh, okay. Well, I didn't remember you saying that. Well, anyway, so when they're on the battlements of Winterfell, you don't see Melisandre anymore, because they cut to her writing out, right? But she was writing pretty slow. And after that scene with Sansa and Jon, she's noticing like she wrote out. She must have speed up and wrote out pretty quick. King of the North, what can you say about that scene? It's just so awesome. I've watched it so many times over and over again, and it's just the thing that I love most about that scene is the beginning, is after the Tower of Joy scene where they cut to Jon Snow's face, and to me that was the confirmation I needed. It because I was mad about that scene before because they didn't definitively say it, and then they just cut to Jon's face, and that was what did it. But no, the scene, Lyanna Mormont, like you said, and mentally not so fat. It's just right back to where we need to be. And this whole Nice Queen thing, I just hope they get done with it. Or not Nice Queen thing. I'm sorry. What was I gonna say? Oh, I got a brain fart. Never mind. Move on, next person.
It's all good, LT. All right, Mo. Everything in the north.
Yeah. Ramsay flayed Lord Kerwin and his wife living. The new Lord Kerwin paid his taxes. That was Lord Kerwin, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know who that and this is what people were afraid of. Like Davos was talking about to Jon a couple episodes back where he said, some of these lords have their people worried about getting flayed, and this was one of the guys who got flayed, his father and his mother. But anyways, this whole North, it was just written right. It felt good. Everything about it, top to bottom, the actors that were chosen, Lord Manderley, he looked like a big old fat merman. Everything was right. Slick back, white hair, the young white wolf. I'll talk about the King of the North, but first let me talk about Melisandre and Davos. We knew this was going to happen. We knew that she was going to have to pay the piper at some point. She wasn't going to get away scot-free for burning that girl. And Davos is acting, just everything that JB said. It's just done right. Liam Cunningham, amazing actor, one of my top 3 actor in the whole series. He just hits his notes right. He hits the notes right like Mariah Carey high notes. Everything Davos does when he touches turns to gold. And Jon, you could see the situation Jon's in. This woman brought him back to life, and he's got to pardon her. He doesn't want to pardon her because he's honorable. He knows she's got to meet the piper, and he should be hanging her, but he can't because he owes her a solid, and he gave her a solid. You come back to the north, I'll hang you myself. She's going to the wall, mark my words. She's going up there to get her mana, get her strength up, turn into the Night's Queen and do her thing. Sansa Littlefinger. This is ridiculous. Littlefinger's gonna get killed real soon. This type of bullshit, this type of Game of Thrones backstabbing does not work in the North, ladies and gentlemen. You could pull that in King's Landing on Ned when he's out of his element. Try that crap in the North, you getting hung. I don't know when it's gonna be, but I can see Littlefinger biting the dust early next season, and he's probably gonna get caught by Davos. I can see Davos on the strength of helping Jon, overhearing Littlefinger do something dumb, doing something to twist Sansa's arm, and boom, they handle Littlefinger. He's stated that he's declared for the Starks, sent the Ravens to all the lords to declare that. I don't know what the repercussions of that'll be. Sansa stated it herself. Littlefinger's always declared for houses. We don't know what that'll be, but Littlefinger's don't play in the North. 3. The King of the North scene, I loved how it was executed, but in my opinion, they didn't need to crown Jon King of the North. They could have gave this to Sansa. She could have been Lady of Winterfell. That's what I would have preferred to see. But if they were going to crown Jon, King of the North was robbed. If you're gonna give that title 2.0 to Jon, I would have rather seen it after he killed the White Walkers. Beating the Boltons and declaring him King of the North, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I would have rather have that big title laid upon Jon after something really, really major. I don't think beating the Boltons deserved that. And with Sansa Littlefinger, lastly, people think that she's going to turn on Jon. But that last look she gave Littlefinger basically was the last realization to herself whether she's going to choose family or she's going to choose ambition. Tully's words, family, duty, honor. I think she's going to choose family. James?
Just quickly, I have a feeling that Littlefinger, like, you know, after he's gonna do like this sweeping declaration of love or something, and he's gonna slip up and say like, I did this all for you. I said, you know, like he's gonna slip up on something. He's gonna say like, essentially, I fucked up your family on accident, and I think that's gonna be his downfall. Just in the show.
Yep, I agree.
T, what do you think about everything in the North?
The North was actually my favorite scenes in this season, period, but also this episode. I have to disagree with some of the things you guys said. As far as Jon, I could see why that they rallied behind Jon, because Jon was the one leading everyone into this army. Jon was the one who was leading everyone in Hardhome. So he has shown that he's defeated White Walkers and that there's this big threat coming. But also, he's still Ned Stark's son. He still was the one going to house with everyone. He didn't succeed, but he still was there. So, and then there's always this sexist thing as well. So I could see why they chose Jon. And also, it goes back to even though you could say she's not technically married to Tyrion, that's still out there. So it's kind of like in the books where they don't want the North to go to a Lannister. I mean, she has Stark blood, but she's not a Stark anymore. So it makes sense why they would rally behind Jon. As far as her and Littlefinger, I don't think that Littlefinger's going away that easy. I think he did slip up because he called Sansa my love. So I think Sansa now realizes that he does love her, but he also messed up because he told her that he wanted the throne. Every decision that he makes is calculated to see if it will get closer to the throne. Oh, go ahead.
You talking to me, T?
Yeah, go ahead. You said you want to say something?
Yeah, one I forgot to mention, we now know Littlefinger's end game because he said it. We've always assumed his end game, but for the show to just blatantly just like tell us now he wants to sit on the Iron Throne is major, and him telling Sansa is going to have major repercussions. She will use that against him. He never lets things like that slip. So that D&D giving us that, letting us know that's in the plot line, he's going to have that go against him. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. I think that he's being distracted because he is in love with Sansa. But it's not just one-sided. I think Sansa also has an attraction for Littlefinger. It's not his physical attraction, but his mental, the way that he carries himself and how he plays the game. I think she's attracted to that. I think I watched this scene a few times over because it kind of threw me off. When she's been told by Jon that she's going to end up being Queen of the North. He just assumed. She's told by Littlefinger. So then you have Lady Mormont, say, I declare Jon the king. And then you have the Manderly. I think she thought that the Manderly was going to say no, Sansa should be queen. It'll be almost kind of like a king's move. But when the other houses started to declare Jon, she knew right then she was not getting Winterfell. So it was kind of bittersweet. But then she realizes that it goes back to that conversation she had with Littlefinger. She says, I thought I knew what I wanted and I wasn't happy with what I had. And then you go early on to Jon, who says, I was all the way in the back and now look, I'm up here. And Mel is the one say, be thankful you were in this situation, because Jon could have easily been a Ramsay if Ned didn't take on, if Ned wasn't the father figure that he was. As far as Jon and Mel, I think that was the only thing Jon could do, because it's kind of messed up for you to ask him to hang someone that actually brought him back to life, because he still kind of owes her. And one thing that it's interesting that I didn't realize is that the Stark way of justice is when they execute someone is by beheading. Yet when Jon came back, he started hanging people. So I don't know. That seems like something with the Brotherhood out without banners. They were hanging people, so I don't know if that's something that plays into how different John is now that he came back. But the Starks used to behead. Now that it's hanging, so I thought that was interesting. I'm trying to think of everything that kind of happened in the North. Because a lot did happen. Oh, also with Sansa and Littlefinger, I think Sansa is afraid of what Littlefinger is doing because he's now seeing that his plans are kind of backfiring. He needs Sansa to have the North. So now I think he's thinking of who can he get to turn to divide the North so that more people would want Sansa and not Jon. I think that Littlefinger's going to be playing his tricks. I don't think he's going to go away so easily, but I think that Sansa overall is going to be his downfall. As far as the scene with Jon and the Tower of Joy, I loved it. I loved how they panned to him. At first, I thought it was Dany for one split second because I thought that I saw blonde hair, and I was like, get the fuck out of here. It's Dany, really? But I was glad that it was Jon and they showed the face. I like the fact that the Dawn Sword of the Morning was at the head of the bed. Kind of just keep banging on that head that he's the prince that was promised. I feel like I'm talking too much, but overall, I just really enjoyed the North, and they just did an amazing job.
Yeah, everything was great in the North. The one thing that I wish we would have got in the King of the North scene is I just wish we would have got back in season 4 or season 3 Robb writing Jon as his, legitimizing Jon and his will. And I think that would have went a long way for me personally. Because like I said, I was thinking, I was kind of hoping that they would do Sansa Queen of the North at that point, or at least talk about Jon's resurrection or something. But I get your points, T. They're valid points for sure. But one thing, I didn't really like how, we all love Lyanna Mormont on the show. She's a badass. She's cool. She takes no prisoners. I just wish that it didn't come at the expense of Wyman Manderly's character. They kind of turned him into a punk. But I can get over it because show continuity-wise, it's not a big deal because like they've never really done much with Manderly, so I can buy it. I gotta you just gotta separate the books and the show. So I can buy it. But yeah, I love the North. It was great. But next, we already kind of talked about it a little bit. We're going to talk about Tower of Joy. So, of course, we see the continuation of the Tower of Joy. We see Ned going into the room. We see Lyanna Stark bloodied in her bed. We do see a lingering shot of Dawn at the foot of the bed. And we hear them whispering. We hear Ned coming in, and there's a whisper. I know people have analyzed it, look at the subtitles and everything, and essentially, from what I can gather, what's essentially said is like, keep him away from Robert. Tells him his name, but we don't really hear it. And we get the whole promise me Ned line that we all know and love. And yeah, that's really it. And then we see the baby, and we end up seeing it pan towards, to Jon. Now, one thing for me, I'm thinking in the show what they're going to do is, since they made it a point to linger on the shot of Dawn, is I have a feeling they're going to skip the whole Starfall thing. We know in the books that he took it to Starfall. Allegedly, he took it to Starfall, back to Shara Dane, and that was it for Dawn. But I believe in the show, since they've never talked about, they've only had Arthur Dane on the show once, and they never talked about a Dane once. They never talked about Starfall. They never talked about a Shara Dane. I find it conceivable that they'll take Dawn back to the crypts of Winterfell, and Jon will find it in the crypts. I don't know if you guys think that's crazy, but I find that plausible. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the scene. We'll start with T on this one.
Yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed it. I laughed so hard at when Meereen kind of grabbed Bran's hand when he was about to touch the tree again. Like, her reflex was just on point. I thought that was kind of funny. As far as the whole the sword, I'm so bad. Please bear with me. I do think that possibly we'll either see some more vision and flashback to see what happened to that sword, or you could be onto something where it's in the crypts. But I think didn't Bran still? No, that's in the books. Yeah, so it could go that way. I think Littlefinger might have something to do with Jon finding out who his parents are, just to throw like a twist. It just seems too easy that Bran just tells him everything. I think by the time Bran meets up with Jon, he might already know who his parents are, just because Littlefinger seem to plant that Littlefinger knew way more than Sansa knew about the whole Lyanna situation. But I think I said all I had to say about the scene. I just really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward more to Bran's visions, and I hope that they open it up further and along, that Tower of Joy scene, like what happened afterward. Because I'm still concerned about Howland Reed. I still don't trust him, so I need to see more about it. Because like what happened after the baby? Are they going to show them leaving the tower? Where do they stop at first? So, like I said, it's more of I like the scenes because it's pushing the story to where I'm like, okay, where are you going to go with it from here?
Sir L.T. Giles.
I remembered when I had that brain fart. Littlefinger looked like a defeated man when they were chanting King of the North. He looked like, oh shit, something's happened, something's being created. And there's only 13 episodes left, people. Littlefinger's on borrowed time. They need to resolve this issue of Littlefinger, because in 13 episodes, by episode 8, they better be fighting the White Walkers. They better solve all this shit and fight the White Walkers by episode 8. So Littlefinger needs to go. He's got to go somehow. Yeah, the Jon doesn't need Dawn because he's got Longclaw. I mean, I know you guys all like Dawn. It's a great sword. We're all it's cool in the books, but I think it's just a sign, because somebody pointed out you got the Dawn is the sun and then the blood right there, and it's like a bleeding star. So I think that's all that is. And it was a great scene. And it's funny, somebody also mentioned that the guy who plays Ned kind of looks like Doogie Howser. And I've been laughing ever since I've seen that. He totally does. But it was overall a great scene.
Well, I mean, me personally, I believe Dawn is Lightbringer just based off its name, because, dawn is right before sunrise. It brings the light. That's why I've always believed that Dawn was Lightbringer. But that's just me. Moji.
Yeah, this is how you do a secret, ladies and gentlemen. This is how you do something that's been waited on for 20 years. This was perfect other than the whispering. Everything about it, from the way that, if you notice, when they start the vision off, Ned looks back at Bran again, just like he did in the older vision. So they make you call back to that Easter egg and make you remember that Bran yelled his name out to let you know Bran's got maneuverability in the Matrix, ladies and gentlemen. That's numero uno in this situation. Numero dos is Jon being born under Dawn. They made it a massive point to show you Ned putting the sword down next to Lyanna. Lightbringer, if it is, who knows, but that sword will have importance on the television show. I don't know if it does in the books. Some people believe it does. In my opinion, I think Heartsbane is going to be the sword that matters later down the line. But they made it a very big deal to show you Jon born under the bleeding star, ladies and gentlemen. Dany born under the bleeding red comet. Jon born under the bleeding star of House Dane. Trace in that scene. You got Bran looking down. You got Lyanna whispering what, in my opinion, is Jaehaerys. Sounds like Jaehaerys. I put the volume up, tried to mouth it out. To me, Jaehaerys makes sense because Ned would look at it and say, okay, you want to name him the Targ name? You can keep that name. I'll put it in a will somewhere. I'll make somebody else remember it. But if I'm taking him to the north and he's going to be my bastard, I'm naming him Jon. J for Jaehaerys, J for Jon. It's just acronym for a name, stays the same. What matters is he's the prince that is promised, etc., etc. Number 4 in this situation, they didn't tell us how there was. You got show watchers that have never read the books, like, okay, so that's Ned's sister, who's the father. They don't even know who the father is. So you know they're going to do something on Rhaegar later down the line, something with the Robert's Rebellion down the line, because they have to show you who his father was. You can't just put out something on your HBO website and be like, yeah, this is the father of Jon. You're trying to do something with the plot line on purpose. So that's going to be a major prediction for down the line. They're going to introduce Rhaegar. That's why Barristan Selmy was with Dany last season breaking down everything that he knew about her. More than likely, the way we're going to get that information is through Varys, in my opinion. So that's what I got for Tower of Joy.
Hey, question to you guys. Emoji, I think, is everyone. Yeah. Anyways, so you guys think that obviously Littlefinger knows this whole thing, so would you say Varys knows it too? That's just a question.
Maybe, but in the show, we've seen since like the first season at the king, the tourney at the King of the Hand, Littlefinger was giving information to Sansa back then about things that he shouldn't know about, and then of course last season in the Crypts of Winterfell, he was telling her information about, he was like giving her that look like, you really think that Lyanna was raped by Rhaegar? So I'm thinking, maybe they'll have Littlefinger know more than he does in the books, and like maybe he was at the tower, he was at the Harrenhal tourney and whatnot. Maybe that's just a show only thing, and
but
so I don't know if Varys would know.
I don't see Littlefinger telling if he's trying to play Sansa against Jon unless he feels like it's his only option to, switch and go on Team Jon,
Well, he would have to play Jon in a way because Jon's the one who has the power. He has control over Winterfell. If Sansa was the one to win, then he could just keep playing it the way that he is with her. I mean, even at the beginning of the season, he was trying to separate them, saying, you're a trueborn, he's a bastard, and he does it again. And I think that's why we kind of saw that look on Sansa's face, like she's starting to realize who he is, and he doesn't see that the North is different. That even though I don't see them doing this in the books, or it'll be slightly different, I think. I just don't think that Littlefinger gets that the North doesn't play Southern games. Like they choose their own leader, almost like how they did with Robb. So I don't know. I still see Littlefinger still trying to play them both because he needs Winterfell. I don't see how he can maneuver to get the Iron Throne without getting Winterfell, and that seems to be a big part of his plan.
Mo?
Yeah, and to number 5 point more on the sword, I can definitely see when they bury Rickon in the Crypts of Winterfell, or they do something next season with them going down in the Crypts of Winterfell, they are going to open that crypt. People think the harp is in there. Tony subscribed to the fact that he thinks Rhaegar's harp is in there. I believe that Dawn is probably going to be in there. Ned probably took the sword back to Starfall. If the stories are true, Ashara Dane killed herself. Ned probably thought, I'm not leaving this sword here. I'm not leaving this here if he even went to Starfall. I don't think he would have wasted his time stopping out Starfall. He's got a brand new baby with him. It's Dorne. It's hot as crap. We know how hot it is. There's scorpions out there. There's all sorts of ish that when you read the chapters that Ariana is in. George Martin, make sure that you realize that this is a horrible climate. I'm thinking Jon went straight back to Winterfell, straight back to Westeros, has Dawn with him, and he buried it in the crypt with his sister, what remains of her, etc., etc. So Jon could one day get this, so he could explain to him his lineage and what he is.
You guys remember like one of James's first videos? He talks about his predictions for Winds of Winter, and he said that he thinks that Jon is going to be down in the Winds of Winter, and he's just going to, in the Crypts of Winterfell, and he finds out, from somebody about his parentage, and he's like pissed off at Lyanna and Rhaegar, and he like smashes the statue, and he says that Dawn is inside it, and that was pretty cool. And I freaking figured out about James, and he was like him and Tony were like the first people I ever watched like Game of Thrones videos about, and that was one of the first videos I saw, and I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, he definitely hit something inside the crypt, for sure. It's obvious. He broke tradition and built a crypt for Lyanna when you're only supposed to build the crypts for the male line of the Starks.
All right, guys. Well, we are going to move on to our last location, and of course, where some of the most crazy and epic stuff occurred, and that is in King's Landing. And of course, it opens up the episode, and we see, Cersei dressing up and we see Tommen dressing up, and then we see the Mountain come in and tell Tommen, "Hey, you ain't going nowhere, man." And we see this kind of scene where we're in the Sept of Baelor, and we see Loras getting dragged. The music that was playing throughout this whole scene was just superb, epic, and we see Loras succumbing to becoming a sparrow. He gets the sparrow mark carved into his head. Marjorie was all like, "Yo, this wasn't part of the deal, man," and he's like saying, "He's the one submitted, so this is what's going to happen." And then of course we notice that something's amiss because Cersei and Tommen aren't showing up. Lance, the High Sparrow tells Lancel to go get him. At the same time, we're seeing a little bird talk to Pycelle, telling him that he needs to come downstairs. He goes downstairs, and Qyburn is there. Me personally, if I was Pycelle, I started walking downstairs. I see no one else, but I see Qyburn sitting in the chair in the corner. I'm like, deuces, I'm going back upstairs. But that's just me. So yeah, he goes down, and then of course we see the simultaneous, essentially, slaying of them both. We see Pycelle getting stabbed up quite a bit by many little birds, and we see Lancel taking a shiv to the side. He just takes one lick and he goes down like a sack of potatoes. But we see him crawling. He looks over under the Sept of Baelor, and we see him crawling towards 3 burning candles that are submerged in a pool of wildfire. And he knows what it means if they go off. So he's slowly crawling. You have an epic violin riff playing in the background. Of course, the Marjorie Tyrell has figured out what's going on here and says, like, some shit's about to go down, bro. And the High Sparrow's not having any of it. Him and the Sparrows keep everyone locked in the Sept of Baelor, and yeah, we know what happens after that. The place explodes. Everyone dies. The Tyrell line is gone. We no longer have the mayor of the Emerald City. Mace Tyrell died. We don't have Marjorie Tyrell anymore. They're all gone. And then of course after that we have the scene with Tommen. After he's realized what happened, and he backs out. You see him. He's placed in front of a window. He leaves the screen. The shot lingers on the window for like 6 seconds, and I was like, yep, he's jumping out of this, and he indeed does. And then after that, after a while, we come back. We see Tommen dead, and Cersei just doesn't seem to care anymore. I was expecting. We've already seen 3 Lannisters with the painted rocks on their eyes in the Sept of Baelor. Of course, couldn't be in the Sept of Baelor this time since she blew it up. But no, she says to burn his body and burn, bury his ashes or whatever. And I think by this point, the Valonqar prophecy is fulfilled. She believes that she's on borrowed time, and she doesn't care anymore. She's just ready to take down her enemies in a blaze of fire. Then, of course, we see the coronation of Cersei. She's wearing that black garb, and she's looking like she's lost it at this point. And of course, we see Jaime coming at the same time, giving her a look like, "Yo, what happened, man? Some shit went down." And of course, I believe that it's either the Valonqar prophecy will be fulfilled through Jaime, or Jaime will finally get to begin his redemption arc. And I believe that they're truly going to be done and split after this. What occurred in this episode. So yeah, I'm going to give my thoughts first, if you guys don't mind on this one. Yeah, the whole first scene was just spectacular. Like I said, from the point where the episode started to Tommen jumping out of the window, I would have given that a 10 out of 10, even though there was some logical fallacies. Mainly like Lancel was dumb as shit to go down there and get stabbed up, and then I believe that the High Sparrow, who throughout the whole season has been shrewd, intelligent, figuring things out, putting people against each other. In the last minute, I thought he was dumb as shit. I thought that he should have recognized something was going on and should have allowed everyone to exit the premises. But no, he just had this confounded look of dumbassery on his face, and he got blown up. So that was a point of contention, but it didn't even matter because of the execution of what was happening on screen. It was so epic. That epic violin riff when Lancel is crawling. I mean, that's just movie quality. That whole scene was just movie quality to me. Like I said, I believe Cersei is just fully submitted to the fact that the Valonqar prophecy is coming true, and she's just doesn't give any fucks anymore. And it's just she doesn't care. So yeah, and like I said, but the last scene, yeah, I believe that Jaime's redemption arc is coming. So what do you guys think? We'll start with LT, King's Landing. What do you think, buddy?
It's funny talking about how stupid Cersei is, and it's true. She doesn't see for a split second that the Valonqar could be Jaime. She thinks it's Tyrion. So she's not even scared of Jaime or thinking that's funny. She's not going to see it coming when it happens. And I agree, she's going to be the one to take him out. Now, on my second watch through, oh yeah, I agree, the music score was fantastic. There's a show called The Leftovers that has a haunting music score in it, and it plays almost every episode, and it reminds me of this score. And anyways, so Qyburn is a fucking hypocrite and a liar, talking about, oh, I'm sorry, Master Pycelle, that you don't deserve. You know what? You could have let him go on the Sept of Baelor and blew up with everybody else and died a quick death. But no, you had the little bird stab him, and I'm pretty sure that death was painful. Not that Pycelle didn't deserve it, but I'm just saying, Qyburn's a hypocrite. And Tommen, I did not see that coming. I know zoomed on the window. I did not see him jumping off. And you know what I noticed too in the second watch too? He takes off his crown. Like, what does that matter? You're dead, dude. You take off his crown. Boom. You know what I'm saying? Like, why did you put your crown? And the sparrows, fuck the sparrows. I'm glad they all got what they deserved. It is sad to see Marjorie go and the mayor of Emerald City go. Even Kevin go. I mean, it was a nuclear bomb, and it's like crazy too thinking about it that I'm assuming they never mentioned. They might have mentioned it. Robert was buried in there. Tywin was buried in there. Joff, Marcella, all her family's bodies got defecated, blown up or whatever. And then she's just gonna spray Tommen's ashes right over it. And I was really shocked by the Mountain when he took off his helm. Man, I think it's the same actor who played the Mountain. I'm not sure, but I'm like, man, it's just a scary feeling that you feel for I always mess up her name. But anyways, you feel for her when you hear her screaming, even though she was a bitch. You're like, man, what is the Mountain gonna do to her? And just my imagination is probably worse than if they show anything. And then another thing I didn't notice until my second watch is after it's blowing up and Cersei's looking at it, you could hear the screams of the people, and it just brought me back to September 11th. And hearing those sad voices, man, it just gave me chills on my spine, and it was sad, man. It was like, and I also thought of in Star Wars when I think it was Yoda or somebody said, I just heard, all these lights go out, like all these people on the planet die, and it was just crazy, man. It was just like, this whole like James said, this whole score was a 10. These whole scenes. That's all I got.
Yeah, I did forget to mention the Unella scene just quickly. We see Cersei torturing Unella, says that you're not going to die today. You're not going to meet your maker today. And then in comes in Gregor, takes off his helmet. I kind of thought he looked like, remember the scene from Willy Wonka when the girl eats the gum and she turns into a blueberry? That was kind of what I was thinking with Franken Mountain. But me personally, when it came to that scene, I actually would have not used Franken Gregor as the means of torture, even though we know that Gregor can torture someone quite terrifically when he was alive with Vargo Hoat. He was making him eat himself. But me personally, if she really wanted her to suffer, I think she should have gave her to Qyburn. I think Qyburn could have, I feel like Gregor will slip up and snap her neck on accident. I just feel like Qyburn, he could have been meticulous with his torture. But yeah, we'll go to Mo. Everything King's Landing, Mo, what you think?
All hail Queen Cersei, the first of her name, commonly referred to as the Mad Queen. I cannot wait to read that shit in the book. Just like I said it, you could just imagine GRM writing it like that. She is Mad Queen 2.0. She is everything we knew she would be, reading up to her in the books for all these chapters. When she burned down the Hand of the King tower in the book, she got aroused off of it just like the Mad King. I know she's the Mad King's daughter. Two heads of the dragon, Jaime, Cersei, it is what it is. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's right there in the writing. It's right there for you to understand and see what it is. She got aroused just like the Mad King did when he used wildfire. This is not coincidental. It is what it is. In the TV show, let me switch off my book thinking and go to the TV show. She came in like a boss, boiled, black, studded leather, shoulder pads. She had her armor on just like back at the Battle of Blackwater when she had that armored bustier bra, whatever it was called. Now she got the shoulder pads. She looked like one of Bowser's kids. She looked like a Koopa Troopa in Super Mario with the shoulder blades. She was boss hog, drinking her wine, looking at the destruction that she caused, watching the set burn down, that bell falling off the sept and hitting those peasants down at the bottom. That was just monstrous CGI. It might have been better CGI than Blackwater Bay's wildfire. The whole situation of the wildfire was amazing. The way they constructed it, the way the High Sparrow disintegrated, the way he elevated, everything on that scene. I was so blown when Marjorie Tyrell died. Cersei did a Reigns and Castamere 2.0, just wiped out the Tyrells just like that. Like it was shocking. I thought Marjorie at the very least would escape, or maybe even Loras, and Loras would seek revenge on Cersei. Lady Olenna got out at the nick of time, so she's going to get revenge. I told you she's going to hold food away from King's Landing. The food ain't coming into King's Landing no more. Cersei's done. That's going to be another problem Cersei's going to have. And to finish off King's Landing, I didn't know where the hell Lancel got stabbed. Did he get stabbed in his pancreas? I mean, where did he get stabbed to the point he couldn't walk no more? Did he get stabbed in the spine? I mean, damn, was it his liver? I don't know. But what
I was going to say liver.
I mean, yeah, it had to be somewhere funny, but what I do know is they didn't even need to kill Pycelle. Pycelle was going to be in the Scepter Baylor anyway. He could have died in the wildfire. But they put Kevin up in there, so Kevin died in the wildfire. So it is what it is. And the way the 3 candles were set up, like a timer, like a timing ticking bomb, that was ingenious. Loved that whole setup. Seeing Lancel, and they used Lancel specifically for this scene to be the man to get blown up first because he fought in the Battle of Blackwater Bay. He's wildfire. He knows what it's about. So that was sweet. And yeah, that's it for King's Landing. If I remember something, I'll bring it up. But everything about it, the music. Oh man, the music was so ominous. It was so ominous. It was so evil. It was just done like organs, piano organ music like Halloween, man. Ghoulish. Loved it, James.
Yeah, and I actually, I believe Ramin Djawadi. I don't understand why he doesn't get more like film work, because I believe that the score for, I listen to the Game of Thrones score quite a bit, just like when I'm just chilling, and I think that he deserves more. He can bring a lot to a movie, I think, especially like an epic fantasy or something along those lines. But yeah, we will move to T and listen to everything that she needs to say about King's Landing.
I have to agree with all of what you guys have said. First of all, the music is kind of still stuck in my head, and that was probably the best thing about this episode was just the music alone. But I think the way that it kind of played out, it seems as if Cersei was going to take the throne from Tommen, even if I don't think that she knew that he was going to jump, but I think that she recognized her son was too weak, and that it just seemed like the way that she played it out, that she was going to take the throne from it. It's just a vibe I'm getting. It's nothing concrete. As far as Tommen, I think they took the crown off just to spite his mother. The way that he was looking, we all know that he truly loved Marjorie. Like, he really was in love with her. He stopped eating when she got taken from the High Sparrow. So he was distraught, and the fact that it's your mom that killed her within a single second, just didn't even think twice about it. He knew that he was never in control. The second that the mountain had came into the room, and then it the set blows up, the mountain leaves the second it blows up. So he already knows in his head his mom is behind that. As far as Cersei, she's batshit crazy. I think that what she did was so fucked up as far as just the blowing up the set, because it's more messed up because of what she kind of did towards Jamie. You got these two people who are twins and they're connected, and this is the biggest thing that I think, the biggest flaw to Jamie is his honor as a knight, and this is something I think sensitive. I think she found out or knew about the rumor about the wildfire from Jamie, so I think Jamie's going to feel some type of way about that, and also the fact that his son's now dead because of her. His uncle's dead. All of these things that they were doing for the Lannisters, she kind of just killed all of her family, plus the Tyrells. It's almost as if I think Jamie's going to start to realize that Cersei doesn't really care about him. If you even think about the confession, she didn't confess and say, I love my brother. She said, I confess that I like fucking him. Those are two completely different things. If you, as far as the scene with the mountain, the first time I saw it, I thought of the wrestler Kane who had the mask and the red hair, but second time around, it does kind of look like the Willy Wonka chick with the blueberries. But I'm curious to what happened in that scene, because the way that the mountain was standing, it wasn't as if he was grabbing her at that moment when she was screaming so loud. So I'm curious to what he's doing in there, and I think that that's going to also backfire on Cersei. I think somehow Jamie's going to find out what she's doing to her, and that's really what's going to be that draw that just kicks everything, and Jamie goes away because he can't deal with her. But Jamie, when he's looking at her, he looks so scared of this woman. If you to drive the thought further home, if you go back to the scene where Jamie and Brienne are in that bath scene, they're talking about the Mad King and all of these things, and then you look at the scene where Cersei and him are kind of staring each other down, you get that this is really breaking this man's heart, someone that he truly loves, that is now turning into someone he hated, which is like the Mad King. I'm trying to think of everything else that happened in this scene. I kind of wish that I wrote it down, so I'm sorry. So if I missed anything, I think I covered everything because you guys also kind of talked about it. But overall, the scene at the end where it's just her sitting on a crown. I'm just thinking this was the hugest mistake. What's going to happen next? You know, I don't see her having this power for too long. So I'm more interested in how she's going to maneuver with all of these enemies around her.
Oh, and James, if I could say one thing about Tommen's death, Cersei, in my opinion, knew that would devastate Tommen. She knew if she killed Marjorie, that would set Tommen's weak ass off and have him crumble like a Jenga's playset. She knew his little ass couldn't handle that psychologically, and this would carve the way for her to become queen, which is at the end of the day the ultimate goal. She put all her eggs into the Joffrey basket. Once that basket crumbled, there was no time for Tommen. There was no time to love that boy. So she used all this to take the crown, in my opinion. And because you could tell the reaction when Qyburn told her what happened to Tommen, that she didn't care that he died. She said, burn him and bury his ass with his uncle and his brother, and that's it. Wrap it up.
All right, so does anyone else have anything else that they want to say about the episode, or shall we get into ratings?
Yeah, I wanted to add one more thing. As far as Lancel, when he got stabbed, he says, "What are you doing?" And the little boy's like doing some type of weird knife move. I think he was trying to stay there to make sure that he hit the right place. Otherwise, Lancel could have came back and kind of hit him. Also, it's that scene that High Sparrow actually played Marjorie, because whatever deal they had, I don't think Marjorie knew that he was going to have to belong to the faith and that they were going to carve his face off. But the High Sparrow knew that there wasn't going to be a trial for Lancel. I mean, for Loras, because he was already ready to confess his sin. So that made me think that he was thinking like 2 steps ahead. That trial was really just for Cersei, but he played it, and he was just so prideful that he got a lot of people killed because he didn't want to let them go. But at the same time, at that moment, it was way too late. The way that the wildfire spread, it knocked down buildings around it. So even if at that moment he let her go, all of those people would have died still.
Yeah, I do want to point out. I forgot to point out that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, LT.
Oh no, I was just saying real quick that Arya got stabbed way worse than Lancel, and then Lancel goes down, and Arya can run away. Just something to think about.
Well, that's that D&D logic. So because it's Arya, you could stab her about 100 times, she's still gonna live. But Lancel, you just nick him a little bit and he'll go down.
That's called plot armor. Plot armor, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that Mace actually did some good acting here. The actor who played Mace, the mayor of the city, because he actually had some good facial acting. He actually looked devastated, and he didn't look like a buffoon for once. So, to you, Mace, we salute you, because we'll never see you again, along with your whole family, except your mother. So yeah, we are going to go ahead and give rating. Line. We'll start with Moji. Your rating for this episode.
11 out of 10. Second 11 out of 10 this season. I don't hand them out often, but when I do, it's for a masterpiece. It was a classic. It was stupendous. It was a magical time, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I liked what I saw. I loved what I heard. So, next season, I'm only giving out 10 out of 10s. Yeah, I'm only going to give out 11 out of 10 just so y'all know, just so y'all remember. And that's what it is, James.
LT Giles.
I stick by my rating. I give it a 15 out of 10. I mean, epic moment after epic moment after epic moment. I was on the edge of my seat. Sometimes I could get a little bored, and this season I've got a little bored in episodes, but I was not bored by no means. Like I said, I nitpicked with the snow. It's winter, but there's no snow in the Riverlands and King's Landing. But by golly, there better be some snow next year, man. If there's no snow, I'm like, is it really winter? But no, I stand by my rating, 15.
T.
I gave it a 10. I don't think it's 11 or 15, but I don't see myself giving it less than a 10. Just the music alone. I've watched this episode probably 6 or 7 times already, so that means that I can't say it's like a 9 or 9 point. Like, I keep wanting to watch it over and over again. I keep seeing different things and things that are popping in my head. It's also certain things that make me want to go back into the books and reread certain chapters over again. But the music alone and the tone and the way that it was shot, it has to be a 10 for me. And I don't have any really complaints. Like, I could easily say, how did Varys get on the ship that fast? I could easily say, well, how did Cersei know that the wildfire was going to go off at that time to have everyone down there? What if someone would have walked out? I could easily go into that, but at the same time, the music was on point. The scenes were on point. The things that were revealed were on point. So it has to be a 10.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the kind of the Debbie Downer here with a 9.5. Still a fantastic score, guys. 9.5 means it was fantastic. For me, it was the third best episode of the season. I still like Battle of the Bastards better, and my personal favorite was The Door, because it had that big emotional resonant moment for me more than what happened in this episode. But I still love this episode. I couldn't give it the reason why I couldn't give it a 10 because it did have logical fallacies that I was able to overlook when I watched the episode because of the presentation was amazing, the music was amazing. However, the mere fact that they existed, I couldn't give it a 10 based off of principle. That being said, I thought it was a fantastic episode, not trying to take anything away. But yeah, so that's just my opinion. It was a great episode, but had some logical fallacies, so I can give it 10. But yeah, we all loved it. So with that being said, I believe some of us are pulling some double duty today, so there's going to be some plug-in. We got I'm gonna let everyone here sign off, and you know, they can say where you can find them. I put all their links in the description. They all make great videos. Mo, he's got some exciting theories. You got Sir LT Giles. If you want instant reviews, Sir LT Giles, he gets his out. I think he gets his out first before anybody. So if you want an instant review right after the episode, go check out Sir LT Giles. And T, she's starting to get into the, you know, she's starting to make new videos, and they've all been fantastic so far. She's doing a reread, and there's gonna be a lot of stuff coming out. So go subscribe to T as well. But I'll let them go ahead and sign off, starting with Mo.
What's up, everybody? Y'all know who it is. It's Mo G, King of the North, the man himself. Gonna be doing a lot of new things this summer, a lot of new programs for y'all. We got some sports stuff, pop culture, podcast, radio, news, you name it. So please, at the Nightland show tonight at 6 p.m. That's on my channel. Make sure you're tomorrow on Teflon's channel. We got a great little podcast radio show coming up, and I'm pleased to be with this panel. T Baby, James B, LT, you know what it is. Peace.
Sir LT Giles.
Yeah, always a pleasure to be on Big Game James' channel. Yeah, later we got our Q&A on the Heist Watch channel, and I don't have nothing planned. You know, with Game of Thrones being over, I might try and find a new show to watch. But you know, anytime it pops in my mind, you know, a story from my past, you could look out for Storytime with LT, or maybe my dream journals. Go check them out if you haven't. They're good stories. But yeah, always a pleasure to be on James' channel.
And of course, T.
First of all, thanks for having me on your channel. This live stream was fun. I hope that I can link up with you guys again to do different videos. I am making videos again, doing a reread of the whole series, and inviting everyone who wants to reread the series with me to break it down, new questions, just looking at the series in a different way, questioning everything we see, and thought it would be cool to do it together. So definitely check it out. I have a video of the prologue out. Bear with me on these videos, because these videos are actually hard to edit and they drive me insane. So you might not get a video every week, but you will definitely have more videos from me. And I'm going to be on a zillion live streams. I can't even think. Johnny the Wildling, I'll be on that. The Small Councils, the Not So Silent Sisters, the Clash of Queens. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be on someone's channel doing something, so just look out for me. If you see my face, hey, join in on the fun. And I admire all of these people with their YouTube channels. If you haven't checked out LT's, please do. The Dream Journals and the story times are really my favorites. Just LT, it's like a 2 or 3 minute video. It'll brighten up your day. And James always brings it, and Mo, I just love his personality. So definitely check them out if you haven't. Don't even play yourself like that. And until next time, I'll holler at you guys later.
So yeah, I need like 7:30 tonight. We're doing the Hypes Watch Q&A. It had to be moved because of this 4th of July weekend. We apologize to anyone that's live streaming at that time. It wasn't, you know, a planned deal. It had to happen because no one was available this Saturday. So, like I said, we apologize to anyone if you're live streaming later tonight. We apologize. We're not trying to step on anyone's toes or anything. It's just an unfortunate circumstance. Yeah, no, Mo, you have your Q&A tonight too, right?
Yup, it'll be right before your guys. It's at 6 p.m. When me and Teflon are done, we move right into the Hypes Watch, ladies and gentlemen. We got a full schedule for you tonight.
Our video. If you liked the video, hit that thumbs up. Please share it on social media, and subscribe to my channel along with all of my guests here. They're all good friends of mine. Just go subscribe to them. They deserve it. So yeah, until next time, guys. Adios.